Hey everyone, what's up? It's Cameron from Cult Classics Podcast here. If you've been listening along, then you know that the Majestic Jam Network has been busy creating brand new shows, and we're super excited to finally share them with you. If you like listening to our takes on movies, and you want to hear us chat about other things, then you're in luck. In Urban Hermit, the crew gets together each week to catch up on the crazy things going on in the world and in our lives. So without further ado, here's a sample of our other podcast, Urban Hermit.
Here with my co-host
Mark Nussle.
Jordan Jones.
Literally just woke up from a nap, so let me just pep up my enthusiasm here. It's been raining.
Just slap your face a couple times.
I don't think that works.
Does it not?
No, I think that's just a stupid movie thing that's not real. No.
You were about to get the first two-person Urban Hermit. Mark and I were like, should we do it?
In true Urban Hermit fashion, the time got away from me. It's been raining though, and I was just on the couch. Well, also kind of like a weird guilty pleasure. I've been listening to just real
I thought you were about to say heroin. Like just a real guilty pleasure, just nodding in, nodding out.
Just really been nodding in and out recently.
It's a perfect nap day. It really is.
It's just perfect for rainy music, but it's also been kind of scary. Like I'm like in The Shining, but I've been listening to big band music in like melancholy, sad jazz. Like it could be like like a PI movie. So it's been like piano and like
You're like in a noir film.
100%. It's just been either one saxophone or one trumpet with piano, and it just knocked me out for the past like couple hours here.
It's like that Always Sunny thing where they do the noir thing. They're just like, and you didn't realize that I was there all along. Like,
exactly. Honestly,
talking out a window.
Honestly, exactly. And it's very relaxing. So just kind of question to you, what's some like weird guilty pleasure music genres? And I know Jordan's had a few.
I don't have anything I feel guilty about. Maybe Hamilton.
Okay, I'm gonna say weird then. There was
Broadway.
You were like a sophomore in high school when you got super into Paul Simon and island music.
Yeah, I was big into Hawaiian music. Some of the whatever his last name is, Big Is, shout out, R.I.P. And like Paul Simon solo, like Graceland and shit. Call me out. Big time. One time I had like friends over to our house in high school. Mm-hmm. Like a social guys-girl gathering, which I didn't do too much. I'm more of an outside-the-house person rather than a hoster. And at this time, I was really big into my Hawaiian music, so that's what I played, and people weren't feeling it in the same way that I was. I'm like, oh, no, but Hawaiian roller coaster ride's right around the corner. Like, just stay tuned. It's about to fucking...
It's just somewhere over the rainbow, like 5 times.
Yeah, it probably was, because, you know...
It was that and the Lilo and Stitch soundtrack.
If you ever
CDs.
If you ever hear me rolling down the street, it's... I'm the reggaeton guy.
Oh, nice.
And I'm not. I hate reggaeton.
Our guitar player friend Chris Reimer has gotten real into not reggae, ska music recently.
Is the difference just a little more up tempo and some horns? Is that ska?
And white folk.
White folk.
Is that the difference?
I think so.
I can get into ska at a festival, but not so much just listening on my iPhone. That's one of those things I think I have to be there to kind of appreciate.
I think I got to be playing Tony Hawk 1 or 2 Pro Skater, and that's when I'm most into ska.
Oh, well, speaking of guilty pleasures, again, that's when you found Good Charlotte, or Good Charlotte found you.
I'm not guilty about most. There are some musicals where I'm like, not proud. Not proud right now.
Mark and I got real into the Dear Evan Hansen soundtrack, and funny enough, that just popped up on Shuffle the other day on the way home from band practice, and I was trying to belt to it. That's something we got real into.
Good songs, not a good movie. I saw the movie. I mean...
Can I talk to you about Dear Evan Hansen and its toe tappability of music?
Sure, tell us about Dear Evan Hansen.
Sorry. I don't think it's that catchy of songs. And I hear that this guy sings very well. What's his name? Ben Platt or something like that?
Yeah, he's in Pitch Perfect.
Yeah, so everybody's like, oh my God, he sings so well. I'm like, this ain't no like Defying Gravity right here. This is no Hamilton.
No, but it's more contemporary. Like the songs are, there's more pop songs.
Which was a lot of it. It was the instrumentation too. It wasn't just him. It was like, oh, we're making just pop songs now. And that was the novelty of it, kind of.
It's no Miss Saigon.
I was about to say, Jordan, what are some of your favorite musical numbers? Maybe we'll just not pieces itself, but plays.
Could we start again, please? Jesus Christ Superstar.
Could we start again, please?
Love that. Defying Gravity is a big smasher hit, so that's fun,
Big hit.
Mark and I were both real into Cats when we were younger, but was that because the costume and the whole set piece, or was that
Mr. Mistopheles?
Or was it because the weird story and the non-rhyming music? You tell me, Mark.
Fiddler.
Do you like
Fiddler's not a fun play for sure. I've been
Don't
in
be
it.
fooled. Da, 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 da. It's a downer. It's not fun.
Well, I was talking to Mom about this last night. I'm like, God, as a Jew, like, we should really have some holidays that are like not just like, God, remember how much of a bummer that was? Our best holiday is Hanukkah, which was like, holy shit, this lamp is still on.
I think more like people that practice all the holidays. Like, I think Purim's fun, whatever that is.
That's what our mom tried to get. She's like, we got a couple in there, but it is a lot of remembering the hard times. Which she was like, well, she's like, that is the positive. It's like, we survived. I'm like, that's every holiday.
Celebrate.
Speaking of which, I'm going home this weekend to do Passover with Mom. Cameron, are you gonna be? No,
I'm not making this one. The new dog and just Nicole had to work, so we're not going to be making.
I've only been a part of one Jones family Passover, but it was a fun experience.
Oh, that was a road one, right? We did it at your guys' house, right?
Maybe two then. I remember one in the original homestead.
We definitely did one straight out of like high school when I hosted a Passover, which was kind of funny.
Yeah, I know we had one at your guys' first apartment for sure.
When Chris was living with us for like a year, like he would come back for a few Passovers. He kind of got into it, so Chris kind of became an honorary Jew in the family. There's a few pictures of him making like a horseradish sandwich and having a hard time.
Oh yeah, I do remember that. Yeah.
Gefilte fish.
So, as part of my going back home for Passover and Easter weekend, I'm gonna. I bought Harry Potter 4 book on tape, and I'm gonna listen to that.
Oh, nice. That's a long one too, so that's definitely gonna get you there and back.
It should be. I started it on my walks to work the other day, and hot takes right now. Here's my hot takes. Book 4. We'll keep this short. I'm just getting to the Quidditch World Cup, right?
Yeah.
And on display is.
That's fairly early in the book, no?
Oh yeah, I just
away.
started. I was at the grocery store and I'm like, I gotta listen to something new, and I'm like, I'm gonna buy Harry Potter 4 because I've been listening to 3 a lot on repeat. Good stuff. Anyway, Mr. Weasley doesn't know shit about Muggles, and that's his job, and it's infuriating. How can he know so little?
Well, Jordan, none of them do, and it's always just back to the like they don't learn like just basic like math, English.
But
like,
they live in a
regular
world. They live in a world where not half, but there's a lot of Muggle-born wizards. It's like we can answer all your questions.
But they also live in a world where they're 100% homeschooled for the most part if they're wizards, Jordan. It turns out that's not doing much for them. They're not learning a bunch, you know?
So are they just homeschooled? They got to see other wizards, though, if you live in the wizarding world.
That's not the vibe we got from Ron and the Weasleys. It sure seemed like he knew nothing.
Cameron, they're poor.
Okay, that's fair. Did Draco get an education? A very fine homeschool teacher, yes.
Yeah, I guess I don't know what they do. Is that addressed in Pottermore or whatever the hell?
I don't think so. Oh, have you seen the... I'm guessing you haven't, but have you heard of the Harry Potter Legacy game?
No.
You would love it. It's a free roam Harry Potter world.
Sounds
where
awesome.
It takes place, like, I think in the 1800s. So just like you're just a random.
Oh, that's even better.
Yeah, it's just an old timey. You're just a student at Hogwarts, free roam, solving some sort of mystery of Hogwarts.
What's it on? Like
all the new systems. I'm pretty sure it's out, but like it's just an RPG, just like free roam Hogwarts.
They could have made
Harry
it where
Potter
you were
game.
like Harry Potter, but the way they're like Skyrim is a way better format.
Yeah, this is better. You just get to create your character. You get to create your own Harry Potter. It's that question that we always ask of like, what would I do if I was at Hogwarts?
Yeah,
I would probably just go to my classes. You know, probably not anything too crazy.
I wouldn't fight Voldemort. I'd engorge my penis, and that's about it.
Yeah, you know what we'd all do.
Blast it off. Have Madame what's the nurse's name?
Madame
Pomfrey.
Pomfrey. Do you think there's more kids that did just die that were swept under the rug, or just like I don't know, like you get paid off? Because like think about how dangerous it is and how many close calls there are. Like there's got to be a couple more than just the Chamber of Secrets that slipped by that we just didn't talk about.
That's right.
It just wasn't as horrific. Like there's not a monster, but this kid did blow up this entire class on accident trying to spell.
That's true. You might have a couple of those, but I would bet it's more like similar to like drunk driving accidents like, you know, in a high school, it's probably like 1 or 2 every couple of years. It's not like every year someone dies, outside of like Harry and his reign.
I imagine it is hilarious, and everyone like that. It's just like cut into like, oh, not it's another one. Sweep him away.
You guys signed the release form. Your kid's dead.
That's why Dumbledore.
Come get his body.
This is why Dumbledore's so like just aloof and like, whoo, he's just crazy. He's Willy Wonka crazy up in there. Yeah. Kids are dying, and he's just like, you know, playing his flute.
I'm not pro Slytherin, but he got pretty lapsed in like running a school towards the end of his days.
Yeah, there wasn't much. He was barely there. He really was he a good professor or good
Well, we don't know. No, he played favorite. Not in what we saw.
Giving out points willy-nilly.
Favors, huge favoritism. Does set up a student to die from the moment he meets him. That's not great.
Well, that was going to happen. You just got to deal with it, Cameron.
The
choice was ultimately his.
Year after year, he just pulls the rug on house points away from kids who thought they were winning. Like last day, being like, and as you know, Harry and his friends all get 700 points.
Hires neglectful bad teachers outside Mrs. McGonagall.
Oh, like all of them. Like all.
They're all horrible.
All the.
Let Hagrid do anything.
He's just
Hagrid's nothing but red flags. I don't know why we trust that drunk giant.
He's a lush. He's just a big lush.
Yeah, put him around kids on the outskirts and let him. I don't know. Just red flag. Endearing guy, but yeah. So Hagrid's always going into the Forbidden Forest, just hut, doing bad stuff,
smoking reefer.
Okay, so is the public school magic education comparable? I bet they have to do like social. I bet they don't have that private school bullshit where they still have math and social studies and some of those.
Wait,
basic
you think
things.
There's public wizard schools?
100%. And they're like, not all of you are going to make it in the wizarding world because it's weird and elite and racist. So we're learning some people skills.
Lunch hall is shittier.
Everything was shittier.
I can tell you this much though. You get those public school Quidditch or wizards on the Quidditch pitch, they're taking out their anger on those fancy.
That's right.
They're getting beat ultimately because they don't have the infrastructure, but they're angry about
it's
it.
like a lot of city schools where like they don't have the infrastructure to have a team, so they're just like a weird city league. So they're playing with adults too.
You got the weird like public version of like Crabbe and Goyle, and they're wearing like the different helmets because they're too big and.
Who thought we were going to talk about so much Harry Potter? I thought it'd be a one-off, but we can do this all episode.
I bet all of our listeners thought it was coming up at some point because, you know, it's
Is that your favorite road trip? Do you prefer that over like a podcast or like a playlist? Is like Harry Potter like a book or something like that?
So in this trip, I got a 5-hour trip. I go ebbs and flows. If I'm really into the book, I'll listen to it the whole way. But sometimes you just need that.
Yeah. Well, I thought
playlist.
the trip to the grocery store is interesting, like the 5-minute trip where you just get little spurts of it.
Oh, no, I went to the grocery store alone, so I just listened to it in the grocery store,
okay.
and it makes it so much better.
I was saying, that is the worst, just the little spurt thing. I couldn't handle that. It would be too confusing.
How about you guys? I assume, Cameron, you've always been most of the time music playlist when you drive.
Yeah, I mean, for the most part. Like, I really did burn out the Harry Potter book on tapes. Nostalgic, just played it a million times. It was go to bed stuff. Again, they're narrated by Jim Dale. He has a silken voice, great character work. It is a good listen. But I mean, just because of our job, like, and just all the auditing and hours I've had, I've listened to a lot of audiobooks in my time just because I have, like, you know, the public library subscriptions and shit where I can just get stuff for free. But, I mean...
I'm probably more of a lean podcast, probably.
Yeah, probably podcast nowadays, just because, I mean, I've burned out everything. I burned out music. That's why I'm listening to big band and scary just during the rain. It's a little terrifying.
Oh, okay, so just a small caveat to that. I have so much like Duke Ellington and the Glenn Miller band, whatever, because I want to listen. I got into reading for like 3 days 4 years ago, right. And I wanted to I needed something in the background, but not to distract me. So I'm like, I got to put all this on there. So now when I shuffle, I got to skip so many Duke Ellington songs. But at night, when you're just trying to listen to some music, it'll just terrify you, like you are at The Shining. Just in the middle of the night.
Like it when it's instrumental, but whenever there's like, all of a sudden I'm feeling scary and terrifying. That's like what I get. That's pretty much what was going on today at the end of work. That's why I passed out for hours.
Well, we told this story, but that's that Colorado hiking trip that we took, and we had that radio, and that was the only station that was playing at like 2 a.m. Well, we thought it was 2 a.m. It was really 10 p.m.
It was terrifying. Yeah.
Oh, you know what's scary? So this doesn't happen a while. Going back to road trips. Now you've got your iPhone, you can shuffle anything Bluetooth, you can cultivate anything you want. Back in the day, you remember shuffling like radio stations and you lose them in small towns?
Tuning in and out.
Scariest thing in the world was late night stuff. All of a sudden, you just found old-timey gospel music. You're like, pass. Hard pass. I don't like this at all.
This is just
I'd rather sit in
kinda,
silence.
This is something kind of funny I did just back in the day. Way back in the day, if you're old enough, when you had like audio tapes and you could go tape to tape and make recordings and stuff. I was young and I just took, this was a long time ago, but I just took like one of Mom and Dad's tapes, and it was something they must have been listening to at night to bed. But I was taping over it to do like a scary, like spooky radio play. But apparently at like 2 in the morning.
The shadow knows.
Yeah, just something stupid like that. But it was more like sound effecty. So I guess their tape just cut off in the middle of the night to me, just like, like breathing and like starting some sort of scary presentation kind of vibe.
Cameron used to be all into Foley sound.
Oh yeah, I was putting on my own little production, but
I can respect that.
That must have just scared the shit out of me.
I do love a good Twilight Zone, The Shadow radio play when I'm driving. I love
those are classic. You know, we discovered these when we were younger on family road trips because it is like now just gotten a bunch of shit, and its name is racist, it turns out. But Cracker Barrel used to have.
Is it? Okay, I mean, we don't touch on it, but I did. Okay.
The name,
Cracker Barrel's racist?
The name itself, Cracker Barrel, is like referring to like the
To
whip
us?
cracking. Like, the cracking barrel is like a whip cracking thing.
Oh man, I gotta go switch my profile names. A lot of places off.
Cracker Barrel boy.
Yeah,
I'm Cracker Barrel boy. Hit me up.
I've heard over the years there's a lot of issues with it. The point is, they used to have just like
I am shocked and appalled at that restaurant.
Are you? But they used to have like old time radio play tapes that you could like rent and return.
So if you were on a road trip, you'd rent one from one location and then drop it off 100 miles later, and you could just exchange them. I think you could still do that.
Public library. I love that.
So our family got real into that on a couple road trips when we were going to Florida as a family and going to Disney World.
Eat some biscuits and gravy, buy some rock candy.
And then an old-timey radio play.
A rocking chair.
I have a dream of being like Mel Gibson at the beginning of Patriot and just building my own furniture at some point. I don't know why.
I'd be like the guy that throws it in the corner and has rage issues.
I've looked at videos on YouTube before, and a couch isn't that hard to build. You're making a box and fluffing it. You know what I mean? I'm not making a recliner.
Yeah, the upholstery is probably the harder part.
That would be tough as shit, the upholstery.
And not really. You're just stretching cloth over the wood and staple gunning it down for the most part.
I have no thirst for knowledge or life, so that doesn't interest me at all.
I love that kind of shit. Like I will get lost in hours in those like people in India just building like clay homes and like burning them and like making pools and stuff. I know we've talked about this before, but I love that kind of YouTube-y like.
Do you know what I think of the end of those?
I can get lost in that.
I appreciate all your hard work, but that pool looks like it sucks.
It's murky.
Yeah, the pool sucks.
Yeah.
It's shallow.
Like they jump into it, they hit the bottom like immediately. It's like, ooh, that cannonball wasn't very graceful.
Okay. I mean, if you got the time, it's not a waste
Still
of
cool
it.
You did it.
I appreciate it. I appreciate you, but that pool looks awful.
There was one where they put like a little vent for fire underneath, and it was a hot tub essentially. I'm like, you're gonna get burned eventually.
Yeah, you're gonna burn. And this is me. I couldn't do that. So like, it's more impressive than my pool. That I could make.
I was looking into maybe making my own hot tub for a second. It's never going to happen. But there are a lot of easy DIY ones where they just make like a heated coil where it's like, oh yeah, if you just have a fire going, you throw this in the fire, it heats up your water. But like that's not like convenient. That's like a bunch more work.
I think the closest DIY I'm doing is like just filling up the bed of a truck and putting a tarp in it. That's my pool.
Oh, cool. Well, what is something you think you have? What's the most useful thing you think you learned online? I watched a lot of those kind of tutorial videos. I've learned a lot about like our music editing programs and podcasting. So I've definitely learned trades off it.
I will use YouTube to like cook recipes. That's probably the most useful thing I do. You're like, oh, I want to know how to cook this, and then you can.
Yeah, I like that. I like cooking shows, cooking tutorials, if you will.
I like watching cooking competitions. I've found, though, I don't pick up a lot of the information, the terms, the skills. My fiance is great at it. She's learned a ton from the Food Network and is a pretty good cook. I just like the competition.
Or ask your fiance. I don't know if I can say names or not. Ask her if this word comes up in cooking competitions. I feel like it's a buzzword that means nothing except flavor. Umami. Ask her if she knows about umami. They're always bringing up.
Well, I mean, it's a thing. It's like, I mean, umami.
No, it's not a thing. What is it?
It's flavor, Jordan.
Yeah, that's
It is a
it.
buzzword.
They're
Actually, no,
like,
he's right,
I need
he's right.
something to give it that extra umami. It's how kids say, it was such a mood. I'm like, could you elaborate?
That
what
was
was
lit.
this mood you're talking about? What was lit about it? If you were to use some more words, what's the umami? Well, like, it definitely is missing umami. I'm like, oh yeah? Well, what the fuck is umami?
Well, I'll tell
Is it
you.
a sauce?
I'll Google it right
Can
now.
I buy this umami somewhere? What
Yeah,
aisle
no
is
kidding.
umami in?
I'll tell you one thing I should know now that always comes up. It's like just the basic base of like carrot, celery, and onion with like water when you're just
It's mirepoix or something like that.
Morpois. There it is. I can never remember that. There's so many French terms, and partly I think it's just because I didn't take
But
French
that's
in high
like
school.
the
It doesn't stick.
that's like
It
the
does not
start
stick.
of like you can make any like meal with that essential like
base. I called it a stock, and my fiance was like, "That's not what it is. It's a base. Don't call it."
Okay, so I was right. Umami is the savory or meaty taste of foods. They're like, it's got to be tastier. Could you make it tastier?
Is it too broad? Is what you're saying? It's just
The way they use it is how teenagers use catchphrases to replace every other word in their vocabulary.
Well, it sounds
fire.
like it is just saying taste, so it sounds like that is what it is. You know what I mean? It is the
it's got a
cooking.
good umami. How's that LaCroix? It's got umami to it.
No, it's not savory at all, but that's how I would explain it. I would say this is missing, umami.
Okay, I think I
Anyway,
follow.
bring that up to. Can I say? I don't know. Can I say people's names? Nicole? Can I say Nicole's name?
We've said it a million times. You say Megan all the time.
She's been doxxed already.
I think we're trying not to say other people's names not associated that might not want brought up and have no idea they're being talked about. I think that's more a vibe.
Okay.
When in
That's what
doubt,
Mr. B
you're
from high
talking
school.
about.
just remember, people out there, I don't edit a thing. So that's for the listeners, and that's for you talking. Mostly for you talking.
I don't like that at all.
What out of cooking shows which ones are your favorites, or personalities? Maybe we'll say. Who are some of your favorite chefs on the show?
All time, Emeril Lagasse is an OG, but nowadays Top Chef's my favorite cooking show.
Emeril Lagasse was like the early days of Food Network, and everyone's parents got real into it, and so did we by default. Bam! It was great.
He had a sitcom for like 3 days.
He's the OxyClean guy of cooking shows. What was that guy's name? Bobby something?
Something like that. Billy Blanks.
Billy Mays.
Billy Mays.
I'm Billy Mays here.
And if you think about it, though, it's crazy because his show wasn't like anything too
if he sounded
entertaining.
like
Like
that.
now, there's so many food competitions, and we have like the high animation of Guy Fieri that like all he was doing was cooking and showing us the preparation and feeding his audience. But like it really sold all of us and sold the Food
He's a
Network.
really good cook, though. I mean, if we're talking about those guys, I am not. I hate Bobby Flay. I dislike him.
I actually really got into Bobby Flay just because of Beat Bobby Flay. My fiance was watching it all the time. Maybe not him as a person, but I like watching Beat Bobby Flay.
The science guy.
Alton Brown.
Alton Brown. I liked him. I like some of the quirkier ones that like maybe you have to use like a fucked up pan. What is that show? Chopped. Where it's like you have to use a waffle iron to
Cutthroat
make a
Kitchen.
steak.
Cutthroat Kitchen. That's the one where they have to like give each other fucked up items and stuff. And
I
they're
like that one.
And they're betting. That one's really fun. I like Cutthroat Kitchen and Chopped. Those, as far
Chopped,
as just like as things that are producing a million episodes, and you see chefs and critics and the same people cycle through a million times. Those two are good.
I guess in all honesty, and some people like him, some people don't, but I was always an Anthony Bourdain guy, so his travel food show, that was probably my favorite. I love that. I still do.
No reservations was great. His show is awesome. Gordon Ramsay, in the spirit of that, did start a new show, but I forget what it's called, but it's kind of like what he did, where he'll travel to a location, he'll kind of learn the culture, and then he'll cook outside with those people on what he learned. It's like he was kind of trying to pick up the mantle in the spirit of Bourdain, but it's not quite the same, but it's good. I like it.
He's just not Bourdain, you know.
Well, he was going for that a little more. He's being a little more he's just learning. He was like it wasn't like going as Chef Gordon Ramsay. He's like, what's going on
That's
here?
almost a shtick in itself.
Yeah.
He's probably not always.
I do
like
think
that.
just by watching years of like cooking shows, you do pick up some things that, like if you're just making something at home.
That's just it.
Like,
I don't
I'll
think
add a
I
little
have.
this.
I think a lot of
So
it's...
the biggest thing I feel like I've learned is that like you don't need to be super precise. I mean like baking you do, but like if you're just adding seasoning or what, just like you don't have to like measure out a teaspoon of this or that. You can kind of just taste
and you can add a shit ton to make it taste better.
Yeah.
Like they obviously season.
One thing I learned is if you do oversalt something, you cannot go back from that. You can always like add something to it, but you can't like take salt out of something.
You know what I've really learned? When I see them make a stock and they have like 20 ingredients in their chicken or fish stock, I'm like, I'm never doing that.
Yeah, they start with the whole like chicken and like
I'm like
leave the bones in. It's like, oh man.
I respect that, but I'm never gonna do it.
Ain't nobody got the time for that.
What was I gonna bring? Oh no, I brought up all I wanted to. Harry Potter.
Have you made any dishes from anything you've seen on the Food Network? Okay, I will say this, though, going back real quick. I do like Alton Brown on, what's his show where he's like breaks down the cooking science and stuff. I forget what it's called.
That's the one I was talking about.
Good Eats. But I don't,
Eats.
but he's kind of a condescending dick as a host sometimes. And like,
yeah, he's very Bill Nye-ish.
But no, it's not that. Because Bill Nye isn't a dick. Sometimes he just belittles his
maybe a little
contestants.
Bill Maher-ish. Just a smug asshole.
Kind of, yeah. There's something kind of smug about him, and I do like him on his own show when he's not interacting with people. But when he's with the common folk, sometimes there's something smug about him.
So I'm pretty sure all three of us and a lot of people, we've all made Gordon Ramsay's perfect eggs, right? Where you put a pound of butter in and keep whisking.
Yeah. They are great.
Take it off the flame, on the flame, off the flame,
just off and on.
Keep it off.
You
the
know
flame.
what? It works.
It really
I've
does.
never done the creme fraiche that he adds, but he adds the creme
I don't have
fraiche.
that yet.
Because who has it, Mark?
Who's got creme fraiche?
I mean, for the amount of Food Network, we should. But that just reminds me of that episode of South Park when Randy's really in and he forgot the creme fraiche. How could you leave it at home? Oh, that episode's hilarious. God, I love Randy.
Oh shit.
Have you made any dishes though off Food Network? When I was younger, funny enough,
YouTube has replaced it. I definitely
That's true.
YouTube. Yep.
I've looked up like shakshuka like 4 times every time I make it to like
make sure you're doing it right. That is the one thing I always kind of just have to look up protein cook times just to make sure I'm not going to mess
internal
up.
temps and stuff like that. Yeah.
Honestly, that's what I look up more than anything. You can kind of
right
wing
off the bat,
it,
Cameron. What's chicken? Internal temp.
3. I don't know.
180.
165.
That was 180.
And you pull it off at like 161, and you let it sit. And
you let it sit.
Or you could go 180 and have a dry ass chicken breast, whatever.
See, again, I think you guys have learned from Food Network. I just didn't pick it all up. I've been a food manager learning food safety at least 3 times.
Do you know what's kind of nice right now? Since Megan's pregnant, we have to make sure nothing's undercooked. So it has made making meals so much less flavorful because everything's dry, but so much easier to cook. Because you're like, just let it fucking...
Yeah, let it ride.
It's gonna be in there riding for now, but it's okay.
Any weird cravings or anything that's you guys been stocking up the house with? Anything fun?
Pickles?
I myself have been real into sweets lately. I don't know if that has anything to do with the pregnancy. Like Danishes, like Danish sweets.
Oh, like
and
baked
like sweetbreads, like baked goods, like big time. Megan hasn't had any weird cravings yet that I've been made aware of.
We have a baby size update.
Yeah, how big's the baby?
Ooh, I have a. Well, today was
again. I keep forgetting it's more of a length thing. So
I have a picture update.
It's a 32-inch TV. Oh wow!
Oh nice.
Today we had our 20-week one, so I got to go to it because I didn't have to start work till later. So we got a healthy baby. It's got all the things it needs to.
Now refresh my memory. You aren't going to learn the sex, but when does that become available?
I think we could have learned it today,
already.
maybe.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, they're like, look away at this point if you don't want to know the sex.
Oh, it's dick. It's right there. It's dick right there.
Actually, no. That's the no.
It's not a cucumber. It's a gherkin. Here, let me double check. Talk amongst yourselves. I think we used to be at a cucumber. We might be at a sweet potato now. Which, is that bigger or smaller? I don't fucking know.
I'll tell you, some of the things I did make off Food Network, it's all been like desserty, baked good things. Not a lot of them have been savor meals. Nicole has made a shit ton of meals from Food Network that I've eaten, but like the things that I've requested have all been desserty.
It seems like Food Network, like where you're like watching a show and making it at the same time, seems just super like early 2000s, like 90s, like following along.
You have to rewind.
Funny enough,
it's as archaic as MapQuest.
Funny enough, though, I did just pull up.
It's more streamlined now.
I pulled up Rachel Ray, like her 30-minute meals, though, and it is 100% that. And I did episode 1. It's so old. The lighting's like a 90s like soap opera or porno.
And she's already like whisking the eggs when you're like just about pulling them out of the
bullshit
fridge.
Though.
You're like, fuck.
She was doing so much talking in the beginning. I'm like, Rachel Ray, you have 30 minutes. You just wasted 5 on the intro. Like, get to it. You're making Thanksgiving
confirmed. It is the
leftovers?
size of a sweet potato in length.
Haven't we been there before?
Yam?
I thought we'd been there.
I think you could be there. Yeah, I don't know. A sweet potato. That's what we're at.
And I feel like those can really vary in size. Like, it could be a big sweet potato.
When it comes to like Rachel Ray, I think we all pretty much cook like that anyway. Like we all kind of do like, you know, unless you're a home cook who makes everything from scratch. Most people cook like her.
Right.
But what I'm never going to do, what I see on cooking shows like hers, like for the average people, She's like, here you go. You're going to love these sandwiches. You make a pan, it makes 12. Gonna feed a lot of people. I'm like, I'm not going to make...
All right, like 12, I need to just feed me right now.
Yeah.
Like,
oh, cool. I'm going to have 12 sandwiches later.
Yeah. All right, well, that's just me. I guess, like, if I had a family, maybe more, and I'm on my way, but I don't think I need.
Yeah, I don't think her demographic is young 20-somethings trying to figure like.
Well, also, I mean, I know there are shows for this, but a lot of the Food Network shows aren't necessarily the healthiest meals. They're usually rich and flavorful, and not like it's not something you should probably be eating every day. I know there are some chefs that do that. Like, I mean, Paula Deen before she got canceled was just like 90% butter cooking.
She was just 90% butter.
It's true. Who else got canceled from Food Network? Who's that ginger who got canceled? What was his show?
Oh, Mario Batali. I think he's sexually assaulted people for years.
Yeah, I think he looks like he was real touchy, Then again, I don't want to say it was the ponytail and the croc combination because I've also rocked a version of that.
Just mash those potatoes in there. My germs.
My germs.
You know who always gave me the willies, but I couldn't look away?
What?
The Barefoot Contessa. She lived in oh man, is she still around? She get canceled? She get indicted for anything?
I think so.
She's always talking about her husband. She's like, I can't wait for Wilfred or whatever the fuck his name was to get home. I made him these souffles.
Yeah,
he's in the city right now. I'm like, ugh. Souffles look pretty good, but you're making me feel real uncomfortable, but I can't look away.
Another show that my mom recommended that it has problems, but have you guys watched Is It Cake?
No, I don't have Netflix anymore.
So
I heard it's good though.
Show. So if you have TikTok, that's like half of what TikTok is now. Is people just be like, "Oh, it's a cake. It's not real." But it's hosted by Mikey Day from SNL, which gets a little annoying because he's kind of a performative host. But
I like
that's
Mikey
what sucks
Day
about
though.
There's a whole panel of
SNL
performative hosts, and they're just like, "Oh wow, it's cake."
Well, that's also part of the problem. Is like you have a group of like really good cake artists like competing. Like they all like you're looking at cake from like 15 feet away under colored lights, and you can barely make out what the fuck's going on. And it's not like a competition of like whose cake is the best. It's just like, here's 10 cakes, a fake one's in there. It's random kind of if the celebrities guess your cake or not. And if they do get it, you don't win money.
Is that a cake? No, it's just a puppy.
So there's not like an exact winner. It's just you could win money this week or not based on whether or not B-level celebrities guess your cake.
So I really do love like these type of elaborate shows that, XYZ, like Halloween Wars, they're pretty much like working,
I love me some Halloween Wars, Cupcake Wars, Pumpkin Wars, any of that shit, yeah.
I absolutely love these, but I do think that as part of the competition, you can make it look as real as you want to, but shouldn't it at some point still taste good? It should be edible.
Funny enough, that is a big part of Is It Cake, that it has to also taste really good and like cake. And then after...
What, in the portion they cut out for you for the tasting, or the whole fucking thing?
The majority of these actually are cake on the inside, just wrapped in fondant. So I feel like after you get past that half inch of fondant, it's a fairly good almond cake, honey cake, whatever it is.
That was one of the...
What's your favorite type of cake?
Well, working at a bougie bakery that did custom cakes, I will say, funny enough, I mean, your classic vanilla, but we had a honey cake and an almond cake that were real good.
I like a red velvet, maybe.
Red velvet can't go wrong. That's good. What do you do different frosting combinations? Do you like a vanilla with chocolate vanilla mix match, or do you like?
I play around. Yeah, I'll play around.
I think
confetti.
I like a yellow cake with a chocolate frosting, like a real buttery cake.
That's what I grew up with, like the homemade one. That's like mom made for birthdays when I was younger. I like that quite a bit.
That with some ice cream, that's a pretty good combo. How do you feel about ice cream cake?
Hazelnut cake.
Not a big fan. Just I've had it so many birthday parties and just like school events. I feel like just have ice cream cake. It has its place.
Do you know what sucks? That thin layer of like whipped cream and like blue gel with the writing and stuff on the top.
Gel.
All that top ice cream layer that's just too thin and whippy. I hate that. Do you know what the best part of ice cream cake is? It's that dark chocolate Oreo layer that's like in between.
Exactly.
Oh, God, I would just want like a 3-inch
but
cake.
But you couldn't have just that.
That's what I'm saying. I want just that. Oh.
I disagree. I think you still need some of that vanilla on top to cut it. Otherwise, you're just too deep and dark in the game.
I mean, you're right, because I can't take sweets as much as I could. But kid me, if you just gave me a whole thing of that. Do you want to know something kind of annoying? For Halloween, my fiance and I were just being fun. We were doing also our nephews were in the country and having their first Halloween, so everyone was getting real into it. But do you remember those Grave like worm cups that were just like pudding and
like
Oreo?
Little pudding mud cups.
Yeah, we made some of those, but we made them in like big cups, and I got like
I
got like 2
like
spoonfuls in, and I'm like, oh my god, this is so much just different candy.
Yeah, you need little Dixie cups and just one gummy worm.
I made such a huge one. I wasted so much ingredient. It was
aesthetically, I absolutely love the gummy worm in it, but
it
from
gets
an
hard.
eating standpoint, I hate
chewy.
it.
It's too
I
tough.
hate it so much.
Out of the gummies, what are your favorite gummy treats? You got your bears, you got your worms. Do you like them sour? Where do you go on your gummies?
I'm kind of a Sour Patch Kid.
Okay, I think we might have talked about this at some point with candy, but I know Ben is a big fan of one of our good friends of Sour Patch Kids and like Mike and Ike's, and kind of that falls into it too.
Meg's a huge Mike and Ike's person.
Wait. Mike and Ike's are nowhere near the same as
I don't think they're gummies either. I think gummies are specifically
hot tamales
gummies.
are kind of more like a Mike and Ike's.
That's true.
They're the exact same
I
thing.
kind of blend those into a similar category.
Hear me out.
Okay.
My favorite gummy is Lifesavers gummies.
Those are good. Those are pretty good.
That's very 90s of you. They come in those little trays. You can almost pull them out like a sleeve of Chips Ahoy.
And I'm gonna weird you out even more. The best one is the pineapple one.
Oh, weird. I
It's
wouldn't see
almost
that coming
clear.
from you.
I love
There's
that
not a
one.
lot of you in the world. I'll tell you that.
No, that's it. Yeah, I'm at Cracker Barrel. That's my handle.
Cameron, I know you like a chewy, maybe sour spree, some sort of spree.
Oh, dude, I used to love sprees as a kid, and honestly, I was always more of the hard one. I like to just like suck it down, let it last. My everlasting gobstopper.
That's right.
But shout out sprees, man. Those are you don't get those often.
You don't get them often.
No,
Is that a Wonka? That's a Wonka thing.
I
I'm
believe
pretty
so.
sure.
I believe that is a Wonka thing.
I'm my fan.
back
I'm more
on
of a
Wonka.
fan of the licorice / really waxy licorice.
That kind of
that's what I like.
That kind of works.
Not the pull and peel, whatever they're.
Oh, I love the
I
pull
love
and
pull and peel. That's a separate category.
But I also
strawberry
like
cherry. Strawberry cherry. Where are you falling on this?
Cherry all day.
I go strawberry.
Cherry all day. Nibs cherry.
I mean, I know you like the harder, waxier one, but
Love it. The
do you-
wax. That's one of my favorite things about like at Cracker Barrels and stuff. The old timey candy. Sorry, you brought it up. I don't agree with their politics and their
They
name.
sell them other places.
do you do you
Yeah,
have a
okay. If you
specific?
go to an old timey town that's depicting what it used to be like when the world was racist and had like bad places. When you're at those
Widener
places,
drug.
sure.
Do you have a
I
specific other than Twizzler, like off-brand old-timey licorice that you like? Something to recommend?
Yeah, just gas station in a plastic bag, staple at the top,
Okay.
licorice.
Black
Waxy,
licorice?
shiny.
Do we like black licorice? I don't.
No.
Oh God, no! Don't
Not
like
black licorice.
any black licorice flavored thing. Any liqueur, it's garbage. Ugh.
It's not Mike and Ike's. God, I can't remember. I thought I was buying Megan Mike and Ike's once, but it was black licorice. Megs,
Ooh.
what was that called? What were those black licorice?
We're always due
things
for one
called?
Meg. Like
Haven't,
one Meg.
haven't
yell
had one of these in
every
a
episode.
second.
God damn it, I can't remember. It's not.
Do you remember the Sorry, you don't remember it. You don't remember what you got her.
No, Megan didn't remember either.
No.
What were you
But
saying?
the trolley, anything trolley, like the worms, the circles, what do they call them? The octopuses. Those are always good. The sour ones.
Do you like them
Peach rings.
sugar, sour, sweet, or do you just want like a regular gummy?
For myself, just regular. I don't like.
You don't like the coating. I like a little sugary sweet on there.
The only time I like going that route is what are those like Twizzlers that are covered, like the Shockers or the Shock whatever's those like
Nerds rope type shit.
it's like that, but yeah, the ones that are just covered in like that acidy.
Your tongue is burning afterwards. You're like, what the fuck should I do?
You know,
with this?
that's something I used to really love as a kid, and probably why I had so many cavities because it was just stripping my enamel. But
like those sour Skittles are the worst.
well,
for that.
Mega Warhead. Oh god, those just tear apart your tongue just because it's like an abrasive coating on it that is also acidic and it just tears your mouth away. But when
It's funny. We were. I was watching our cousins that are now like in college, but this is like 10 years ago when they were like 10 years old. I was babysitting them, and I'm like, let's go. We can go to the convenience store. We'll get some candy. And they picked out candy, and they picked out sour stuff. I'm like, can 10-year-olds have sour stuff? I'm like, oh, wait, no, this is for you. Yeah, that's exactly
they're
what
the
you want.
only
So-
people that can. If I put a Mega Warhead in my mouth now, like, oh god, it would just burn a layer off of it.
I loved torturing my mouth as a kid. Well, with sour stuff.
I didn't. I was never go on.
Well, no.
Yeah, you guys were getting cameras like if I put a sour Mega Warhead up my mouth.
Well, thank God it's
just
going in my
kinda-
mouth. Well, Mark, you're still that way a little bit, though. You like spicy foods more than me, for sure. My body just can't handle it. I was eating a Subway Italian sub a few months back and worked up a sweat. So, like,
I don't know. It adds sort of what would I call this? Some sort of savory, maybe it's umami. There's some sort of umami flavor.
It's just if you could get some umami in that, that'd be great. If I could just get more umami, it's like,
You go to McDonald's like just a side of umami. If
just decide. So like, That used to be, I think, just called MSG, but I think they just call it umami now. I don't know when they updated it.
Fine now, because I feel like we turned a corner. And we're like, it might cause cancer. It definitely causes headaches, but it tastes good.
I think we can really just lie about it now. I think people just like they say no MSG, and then they just end up like beep 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 beep. We want a couple drops of MSG. Out of the things that are like killing me, and like the plastics that are getting it, and the aluminum, the deodorant, just give me the MSG. I'm already just taking some hits elsewhere. Cameron, you sort of had a funny driving experience this past week.
How so? What'd I do?
You said you were at the window and you were ordering something, and she sort of mumbled back as the cashiers usually do.
Bullshit. Well, one, like, I have some passive aggressive workers at the McDonald's next to my house and the Burger King next to your place, where when you pull up to the window, it's not busy, and they're playing the waiting game, hoping you'll leave. But I'm not going to leave because I'm hungry. I'll wait out until I do that awkward hello, and they finally answer me.
You can hear them in the background kind of like breathe.
I can see them half the time I'm driving up, and they're dicking around and like talking like it's a bunch of teenagers. But I go up to the window, and after waiting like 3 minutes of them just dicking around, she was like, "Forgot for my burger?" And I'm like, "Oh, I'm like, excuse me?" And then I was just like, she said it again, and I was just like, fuck it. Here's my order. I want a Whopper, #1 large Sprite. And then I was very clear it's the main thing they make there. And then she went through the whole order like, so that's a Whopper and a large, what's the drink? Like anything I could have, like she made me go through the whole thing. And then at the end she was like, and I was like, yes. Just.
Do you think she was trolling you or just having a tough time?
I think she's maybe both. I don't, honestly, looking back, it's hard to say. But
I'm not mad at
anybody that has a bad job doing it shitty and not.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not going to do anything. I'm not mean about it.
Them.
But then I pulled up, and it turns out she upsold me on like bacon and like a bunch of thin jalapenos and stuff on it. But like, I had no idea what she was saying, and out of frustration, I was just like, yes. Just let's go.
That's the Midwest. That's the Iowa nice in you.
I will say, well, it disappeared a couple of weeks ago when I pulled up to the McDonald's, and the one by me.
Did you get a manager?
No, but I literally yelled, "I can see you in there," because I could, and they eventually picked up. But shit. I knew they were just like trying to hold out. I knew what they were doing.
I would have just gone somewhere else. There's got to be something. Close.
No, because at like 1:30, that was what was open near me without like being real far. Oh God, it's annoying. It's my only option late at night.
I'm excited for part of my road trip. I think we'll probably stop at Culver's on the way home in Rockford.
Oh, dude, I've been getting so many concrete mixers recently. I'm telling you.
You have to have a Culver's near you, right?
Toffee caramel. I'm telling you, try it
I have one really close to me, but it's like...
You have one like a block away from you.
It seems more sacrilegious to get Culver's in Chicago.
You like it on a road trip, but
yeah, it's more like a road trip thing. Like I do have one actually really close, but it's like, why would I go there when there's so many better places if I'm going to get a burger or something?
Because they have concrete mixers, and those are good. That's what you go for.
It's literally next, though, to the second location of Margie's Candy.
Oh, yeah, that's right. Yeah, so that, I mean, I guess if you're gonna...
But sometimes you don't want a decadent, you just want a concrete mixer. You don't want a hot fudge sundae or something.
You want to know something stupid I fell for all the time as a kid? Getting the rainbow or the Superman ice cream that was just dyed vanilla.
Yeah, you were a sucker for that.
I loved me some colorful ice cream that just had no flavor to it. Sometimes it was cotton candy-y flavored and not. Yeah, but that's not as good though. It's a step down.
Mark, what Cameron's not telling you is so he could just get it. He's like, and there is red and purple and blue
and orange and fuchsia.
Oh, you know what?
It was just a vehicle for him to sing Joseph in the Technicolor Dreamcoat. That's a honestly, musical. That is some good stuff. Going back to guilty pleasures. I skip Joseph all the time. I never want to hear those songs.
I close my eyes. That has a terrifying children's choir, too, that can be a little haunting. Close every door to me. That is a haunting children's choir, too, at that song.
Skip the narrator of that play, says Jordan Jones. I don't want to hear it tell me anything Joseph's doing.
Okay, what is your least favorite musical based on music? What do you think has the least listenable songs?
Well, I don't know. There's so many like I don't know, so I'm only putting it in the ballpark.
This is going to be crazy, and people are going to hate me for this. Listeners, you guys maybe even. It's Hamilton for me. I don't really like Hamilton.
I'm not.
Here's why though.
I'm a little bit with you that I'm a little burnout on.
And I like Lin-Manuel Miranda.
Well, that's actually my problem. I'm a little burnout on his writing style and a lot of his rhymes and schemes. It's very similar in a lot of the Disney movies, so I'm just kind of burnt out on him. There's two really good songs from Hamilton. It's that Jordan. What are they? You got into it.
There's something with that starts with an M.
My favorite songs is Jesus, you really put me on the spot. I Alexander Hamilton.
It's the one where he's sleeping around, and it's the
You're not throwing away.
Say no to this. That one's good.
And the one where the girls are being like, "I'm into Alexander
girls'
Hamilton."
one.
Yeah, it's the one with
That's the one I like.
The one with all the sisters.
Oh,
That one's good.
Helpless.
Yeah, that one's good.
Helpless and Say No to This are to the best one. And then the most Broadway type ones are what the King sings. Welcome back.
I do like that one.
Yeah, those are catchy.
maybe I
That
thought
one
about it
actually
too
is
quick.
like a Broadway.
Oh, duh! We forgot about
Phantom.
the book.
I don't like
the Book of
Phantom that
Mormon.
much.
I believe that's a good, funny one with good
That's
songs.
a banger. I had that on a
Banger.
mix for a while.
That's another one that had contemporary songs that kind of like led the way for Dear Evan Hansen.
Out of all the Broadway plays I've actually seen in person, or I guess on TV, that one's legitimately funny for funny things.
Well, I mean, written by the creators of South Park, it should be.
I know, but it is actually funny. Not everybody does that.
Okay, then what's one of the funnier musicals that's not written by like
He like shows up to like the slave camp or whatever, and he's like, "What the fuck is this?"
I believe. It's a good one.
He's like
Yeah.
touching him and shit.
That's a huge song. I mean, that's probably the biggest song of
Not a musical, but a good just comedic play. Noise is Off. It's also a movie with Christopher Reeves. Oh my God, why can't I think of
I
it?
don't even know who's in it. Just Christopher Reeves. Is all I'm thinking.
He passed away. He was a comedic actor. Oh my God, he was the dad on Scrubs.
The janitor or the dad?
No, the dad. I'll get to it in a second. And this is a big one, but I mean, who's the director? Michael Caine. Michael Caine's in it. But it's a music.
So-
it's a play about a play going terrible, and it's the behind the scenes of the cast not getting along.
Based off
producers.
Based off Noises Off, and I'm sure it exists in some iteration. Doesn't it feel like the movie Clue would make a great stage play?
Yeah, as long as you have that.
Yeah.
Because Noise is Off.
It's very similar.
Has a big-
you're in this room, you're in that room. you're in
has
this
a
room,
big
you got
house
people doing-
stage set piece. Who I really want to think of his name because he passed away a few years ago and he was a funny comedian and it's really I'm spacing on it. Carol Burnett's in it.
I like
Julie Haggerty,
Sorry.
so she's the comedian from Airplane. But Christopher Reeves, John Ritter. There we go.
Oh, John Ritter. He's the dad in Scrubs?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure.
I don't think so.
Yeah, he is. He doesn't make a lot of appearances, but he's JD's dad.
Okay, then it makes sense.
It's been years since I've seen it, but I'm pretty sure.
One of the things I do want to do whenever I do or before I move from Chicago, I have not seen just a theatrical dramatic play.
Oh, neither have I.
Is it John Ritter?
Yeah, it's easy. Yeah, Cameron's
Okay,
Cameron's
way to
great.
go. Way to go,
Oh,
Cameron.
thank you. I've always wanted to go to the Goodman Theater and see A Christmas Carol. Did you do that this year?
Oh, yeah, I saw it this year, but it was a little bit of a reimagination, but I still liked it.
I worked next to the Goodman Theater for years downtown, and I would always see the advertisements.
Oh, the actual like live,
Yeah.
like the live.
They-
play.
yeah, it was pretty cool. It was a fun, festive thing to do.
Traditionally, the Goodman Theater, one of the theaters in Chicago, always puts on a production of A Christmas Carol. And I've always wanted to do that. That would be magical. I'll get around to that maybe next year.
I think you can see it. I think one year I didn't do it, but like the women on my dad's side of the family did it at Ford Theater in DC.
Oh, yeah?
Oh,
The
yeah, I'm
Christmas
sure
Carol?
they have it.
Yeah, that'd be magical
cool.
too. I feel like.
Oh, here's one of the big things like I want to do with our mom. I want to go to the Nutcracker.
Oh, with the
Joffrey's
Joffrey Ballet.
Nutcracker.
That'd be big.
I haven't done
I mean,
it.
that'd be easy to do. She had a few ballerines in it, too. So, I mean, she has been, but it'd be nice for her just to sit and watch, no pressure.
My favorite thing, obviously, now we're just talking holiday talk. The lineup, I'm going to see It's a Wonderful Life at the Music Box Theater.
Did it with you the last 2 years. I think I just need to give myself, in general, a break from the movie this year. I mean, it is like a classic and you do it every year, but for some reason I feel like we did it for the podcast, so I've just watched it more. I've delved into it, so I feel like it's just slightly more burnout.
I took a break from A Christmas Story, and I'm gonna go back this year. I think.
I haven't watched A Christmas Story in years because syndication.
But because
burned
it's
it out.
on that,
Yeah.
they do that marathon. Yeah, you just have to take a break.
Well, that's the beauty of
You
it, though.
gotta take a
We haven't had cable in years.
I think I got to take a break from Christmas Vacation. Like,
Ooh, that one has really gotten burnt out for me too. I might need to take a break.
but luckily, I'm really filling in some gaps with the Family Stone. Anybody else?
No, weird. We have a couple other things the night before. There are more Christmas things coming out, so at least we can maybe I don't know, shuffle a couple different ones in there. Maybe we'll get real boring with it and do like Miracle on 34th Street and White Christmas this year. Yeah, that's why. Yeah.
What if we just do all 4 Miracle on 34th Streets There's like one in the 50s. There's like one in the 30s, 50s, 90s, and there might be one in the 70s.
Pass.
Are we done with Christmas movies for the cult classics?
I think we're done with Christmas talk right now for sure.
Okay. Okay.
You know, we're actually coming up in about 50 minutes. You guys have anything other big points you want to say before we wrap up for this week?
The Bulls are in the playoffs. We're playing the Milwaukee Bucks.
That's gonna be not a sweep, but we're probably gonna lose to them. I was gonna get to cult talk, but
you did that last week.
Next week. I know. I want it to be my thing now. On my way to work, I just walked past a window that's like a Scientology building, and I get it.
Cool.
It's starting to make more sense.
Well, thanks for tuning in to Urban Hermit. If you like what you heard, make sure you subscribe to all the podcasts on the Majestic Jam Network. Cult Classics, Urban Hermit, What You Watching. Thanks for listening in. We really appreciate it. If you want to help the channel, you can go to patreon.com/Cult Classics Pod for premium content. We'll check you next time.
Bye.